Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Care Sandwich. I have Lee with me today, and he is the founder of a law firm that if you haven't checked them out on social media already, you need to check them out because they have some really fun things going on there and super creative, edgy, and I just thought he would make such an amazing guest for this program. So Lee, tell us about yourself, what sort of practice area you focus on, and what you've been doing with your marketing these days.
Sure. Thanks, Margarita. I appreciate you having me. My name's Lee Rudin. My law firm is called RUDIN Law. We are based in the greater New Orleans area. We have been a functioning personal injury practice since June 1st of 2023. I've been a lawyer since 2012, but for the majority of the beginning of my career, I was predominantly a defense lawyer. And then organically, I began to grow this plaintiff, personal injury, and employment practice. And I said, I really like being on the side of helping people and establishing that they've been hurt and should be compensated, as opposed to the other side, where really your job is to diminish whatever the claims may be, legitimate or illegitimate. Your job is to lessen the value and keep as much money in your conceivably insurance or corporate clients' pockets as possible. Just didn't like it as much. This I find to be way more validating.
I bet, because you're a cool guy, and I want you to talk about how you felt before versus how you feel now in your connection with your clients.
So one of the things that as I've kind of grown this firm and thinking about what direction do I want to pursue and what are my real goals, I've been thinking about how to distill what it means to me to be a lawyer. And what I really like about the practice, because as you build a team, you want to figure out, hey, what's my highest and best use? And what do I like to do? Since if you're the boss, maybe you get to decide what you like to do this time around as opposed to working for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And, I think back to the ability to share with others. Right? Some people grow up and they're folks who they worked in soup kitchens and they did this food drive or whatever it is. That's not really how we were raised, my family. Mm-hmm. But it didn't mean we weren't generous. And when I think back on it, I say, we were always generous with our time and our ideas and being willing to listen to people and share with them maybe our victories and defeats because that may help them. And as a lawyer, a lot of what you have to share is your information. Mm-hmm. So as a defense lawyer, yeah, you might get a victory. You might put your client in a better position and you'll get that attaboy. On the other side, when you help somebody who's in what I call the hair on fire situation, something they've never seen before, they weren't prepared for, you can really do a lot of unburdening and take them from a place where they're in total disarray and then bring them to a place where maybe they're not perfect, not back to the way they were, but they're as great as they could be given the circumstances. And in the end, maybe you've given them that peace of mind that the ordeal is behind them and they can move forward with whatever the new normal is. Or
help them turn something scary into something that they overcame and feel better about and grew from. How do we know what we're made of if we never have any trials? And when you go through trials with the peace of mind of I'm not in this alone, I've got somebody that actually cares about me, it ends up becoming something that's cemented in your memory as a positive experience, even though it started off negative. I really do believe in the power of that.
Yeah, and you ask kind of what's the difference between being on one side versus the other, and a lot of times this comes more in like the billing, like operations side. Yeah. But you end up fighting when you're on the defense. Let's say you work for an insurance company. Mm-hmm. You do the work for them. You submit a bill, and then they beat you up. Oh, this costs too much. You worked on this too long. I said, do you think I'm doing this for my health? Like, I do this, it's your case. I'm working for you. I'm trying to provide you the service. We're on the same team, right? When you're working for the injured person or the injured small business, I think they understand that you're their advocate. Maybe you're their mercenary. You're doing it to benefit them and to get them in the place that they want to be. They're not fighting with you.
Yeah.
In that same way.
Although there are exceptions, and I would love to know how you handle the exceptions. And let me illustrate what I mean by exceptions, because I work with so many personal injury attorneys, and I do see where they're fighting really hard, but the client, because of, I'm going to say marketers, not like me, but they have these unrealistic expectations. Like, oh, I expected $1 million and the policy limit's, 25K. And they're like, where's my big fat check? How do you handle that?
So let's do this. This is the story I tell, or the analogy. It's 3 legs of a stool, 3 legs of a tripod. Right, your case is only as good as all 3 legs. Right, you've got liability, who's responsible. You've got damages, what happened to you. Right, how were you hurt? But maybe the most important one, sad as it is to say, is the third, which is what kind of coverage is available. Because, right now we're chasing it for this poor mother whose son was killed by a drunk driver who had $15,000 worth of coverage. Bottom of the barrel, minimum policy here in the state. But mom said, I think this guy has assets. I've seen his house. He's got a boat in front of it. I said, you know what, Miss Mary? We'll go after him for you.
Gotcha.
Because what are you to say to this woman? Hey, I'm going to take the smallest fee possible, $500, $1,000, but you're going to get $14,000 for the death of your son. If she's really in that case, it's not about the money. It's about the exercise in truly finding justice, at least civil justice for her. This guy's probably going to go to jail for a long time on a negligent homicide type scenario, but she feels like he should pay something too. So we said, we would chase after her in that capacity. But I think some of what you're asking is when you have clients that don't have reasonable expectations because they feel like viscerally they were wronged and somebody should pay for the inconvenience, for the pain. And the hard truth is
trauma.
Right, but the hard truth is we're still businesses. So, and our goal is to find a way to get you compensated. And so some of that is, here's the pot of money that's available. I want to get you every penny of it because I think it's deserved. Sometimes it's not. And my job isn't to be your cheerleader all the time. I'm not a yes man. I never was. And I owe it to you as my client to be honest. You might not like it, but I have to tell you the truth and I have to give you my opinion. That's why I'm here. If you wanted somebody to just move things from A to B to Z, okay, maybe I'm not your guy, because litigation and claims, they go this way. They're like a snake or a jagged line. It's not always just straightforward. So somebody's got to tell you the truth, and then you have to be a big boy or girl and make that informed decision.
What I'm hearing is that at some point in the conversation, maybe in your onboarding, or I don't know if it happens in your marketing, you address your tripod analogy so that you can set the expectations. How do you do that? What does that look like in a practical application? And I'm asking more for the sake of the law firm owner that's like, yeah, that's great, but at what point do you explain that, or how do you explain it? How do you fit it in?
So I'll do it right in the beginning.
Okay.
And I'd like to do it in a variety of different ways. Sometimes it's during the intake sales part of my job.
Okay, that's what I was going to get at. Like, does your intake team cover that? Or do
They'll cover it to a degree.
Okay.
When you have skeptical potential clients, sometimes they just want to talk to the lawyer. And, if we think it's a worthwhile case and I have the ability to do it, I will get on the phone and I will explain to them how the process works. My team knows how to do it, but I will do it as well. And I do this. And I've given my team the authority to do it too. I said, if you don't think that we add value, we as personal injury lawyers, me as your potential lawyer, go to the insurance company and get the best offer you can get right now. If I can't beat it after I take my fees out, meaning you're going to walk away with more money, period, because you hired us, then I won't take your case, like go take that settlement. I'm going to recommend you take that settlement, or I won't take the fee that puts you underwater or any fee at all. I just understand. Yeah, I understand that. I understand the way the insurance companies are going to analyze a claim for an unrepresented, unsophisticated in terms of litigation or the legal arena versus the lawyer who's got data, has experience, knows the process, and can actually add some teeth behind the braggadocious commentary.
You know, we do a lot of training in sales and intake, and you said something interesting that I want to talk a little bit more about. The team maybe gets people that want to talk to the attorney. So one thing that we teach in Connect Convert, and we train the initial contact people, so whether that's your receptionist or non-attorneys. And we teach that if you build enough trust, the questions go away. They don't want to talk to the attorney because they have trust in you as a person. And at the end of the day, the injured, traumatized person is wanting to feel like they're in good hands with the person they're on the phone with in that moment. So assuming you agree with me that that is the case, what would you teach somebody that's doing sales and intake for a PI firm as a way to build that trust that there's care in your law firm? Like, the example that you gave of how to sell, like, that's cool. I love that. But I'm talking about, how do you teach people to really share and describe the care that your law firm actually brings to the table? Not the legal expertise, but the actual care for the person and for their family and for the impact that this will have on their life.
Look, what I tell my team, Margarita, it goes one of two ways. Mm-hmm. Either you have to actually give a shit. You have to give a shit.
It's got to be authentic, right?
Right. If you don't, especially if you're at that first line, right? You're the infantry man. We call them the client development team, but you're the intake guys.
Yeah.
If you can't actually care and understand that people come to you on their worst day. You know, I tell people, we get a lot of clients that ask for advances. A lot of firms don't like to give advances. Now, if I can, maybe I won't give it personally. Maybe I'll set you up with some financiers that I have relationships with. But I have a feeling that if you hadn't exhausted many other options, you wouldn't be coming to the lawyer asking for money.
Right. If you didn't already ask your friends and family or tapped into your savings, yeah.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
And so if you look at things with that perspective, if you look at injured people calling a lawyer, you think they want to be calling you? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. So think about how burdened, impatient, irritated. I mean, use all the adjectives you can and then try to be empathetic. And if you can't do it, it's not in your nature, then you better be a good actor.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only other option.
People can feel when it's disingenuous, but yeah.
Yeah, but I tell, like when I'm getting a really hard time from a client, one that's already been retained and we've been working together, and they're fussing at me, and I look at them and I'm like, guys, don't fuss at me. I'm on your team. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
So help me help you, and understand that there are times, you want a bulldog, you want someone to run through a brick wall for you. But I can't physically go to the Progressive office, if they even had an office, and shake them to get them to approve the rental car. I can't do that. But what I can do is I can tell you, go down to Enterprise, book the rental car. Book it. I'll front it, and I'll get it back.
Wow.
If you're worried about getting the car, because the car is the pain point, right? Your car just got damaged. You need to go to work. You need to take Johnny to soccer practice. Okay, let's get you the vehicle. Remove the pain point and the point of frustration. Now all we're worried about is the money.
Right.
We're going to get the money. It's just a matter of when, because as long as we believe the rental car is owed, it's going to be time for the insurance company to pay up on that. They're busy, and maybe this is not they don't know how hot button issue it is.
Yeah.
Or they're on vacation, or there's so many other reasons why they're not responding.
And there are a lot of instances, I think, where clients, especially personal injury clients, because they've had physical trauma, they have that like sort of PTSD where every little thing is like feels like the end of the world. And I think a lot of it is just understanding that that's where they're coming from and helping to ease the stress with that reassurance of, hey, I've got your back. So it's not so much about the problem, right? The rental car, the I can't go to work, the I don't have time to go get treatment because I'm going to miss out on hours, or whatever the issue is that's happening. It's the, you're going to be okay. And just not like they're not, I don't think they're trying to be jerks. Like they're just traumatized. They've been through stuff, and physically, I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've been in a handful of accidents. I actually got hit by a car in Beverly Hills, the best place to get hit by a car, when I was in my 20s. So I still remember, like, I was so irrational. Like, I didn't even recognize myself because I physically was shaken. Like I ping ponged off of the car onto the sidewalk, and I couldn't think straight. I was a nightmare.
There, I hope you're enjoying the conversation and your sandwich as much as we are. I want to take a moment to share a few words about our sponsor, Marketing Boss. If you're a law firm owner looking to supercharge your growth, our team at Marketing Boss is here to help. We've got over a decade of experience and a proven track record, and we specialize in growing law firms like yours with data-driven marketing leadership. So if you own a law firm and you're ready to get a predictable, steady flow of cases from your marketing, let's connect at marketing-boss.com.
So, Margarita, you asked earlier, you're like, how do you coach your team to handle a potential new client in a certain way? And the thing that I've repeated is you have to listen. And I don't mean listen to the words, but figure out what is it that is actually at issue. So maybe it is the rental car, because the lack of a vehicle is impacting their ability to do something else that's actually important. Mm-hmm. And folks ask, well, does every client want the same thing? Is there a cookie cutter way to handle it? I said, no. I mean, I take it back. Everybody wants the same thing. They want the biggest check they can get. But some folks really want money that's reasonable for what happened to them sooner. Mm-hmm. Some folks are patient. They're like, I don't want to settle anything until I've done all my medical treatment and I know that I'm 100%. You have folks that might have health insurance and they're like, you know what, I'll settle my case. It's too annoying to go to the doctor. I'll just go to my doctor later. And so, but you got to understand the lay of the land a little bit. And the only way to do that is to have candid conversations with people and hear what they're telling you, not just what they're intending to tell you, but all the stuff that goes around it.
Right. Yeah. And in Connect Convert, we teach that people want to know that you care before they care what you know. And once they know that you authentically care, that you're being a human being, right? You're not just saying, can I get your first name and last name? But you're saying, tell me what happened. Are you feeling okay? And the language that they use transmits, the tone transmits that they care. Then they'll open up and have those candid conversations with you. Like, look, XYZ is really what my issue is, or XYZ is really what's going on. Because everything that they articulate has layers beneath it. And there's a lot there. There's a lot of psychology there. And I can talk about sales and intake all day, but I want to take some time, Lee, to have you share, how do you distinguish your law firm in the marketplace? So above and beyond the way you handle customer service, with the way you manage the cases, what's your secret sauce, basically? Like, talk to us about that, where you do things better than any other law firm.
Look, if I told you there was a secret sauce, I'd be blowing smoke, and like that's just not my style.
Yeah.
But I think
that's your secret sauce. You're honest.
Maybe. I am. And
yeah.
I like to be honest. Maybe it doesn't do me as well if we're sitting in a mediation and I'm like, look, this just isn't getting done any number below this. So let's not waste our time. If I'm telling another lawyer, like, this is where it gets done, I'm not lying to you. I'm not saying I don't want more, but if you're never getting to the bottom, why are we even still doing this?
Yeah.
But I think because I have the experience for a long time, a dozen years of representing insurance companies, I have a pretty good idea of what they need to see. I'm not, I believe in being tough, but I believe in being smart too. So sometimes you get more bees with honey. You want an adjuster to do what you want. Don't start the conversation with F you, do this. How about you talk to them and maybe they'll try to help you because they want to help you. They got plenty of other people that are barking at them that they'll just hang up, go to the next guy, go to the next guy. You're trying to get the result for the client. Put the client first. And if your actions are with that intention, you should do okay. So understanding like how the case has to get, if you want to get authority from an insurance company, they have to report. They might have to report up another level. They might need certain documents, information. Make it easy for them. Don't create obstructions so that the adjuster can't do their job. And if adjusters, lawyers, whomever it is, you're just one part of the pressure.
Right.
You're dealing with an associate. They've got a partner who's beating down on them. You're dealing with an adjuster. They've got a manager and the company, and there's data. So, I had a case where it was a minimum policy case. I thought the case was worth $15,000. The adjuster was giving me too hard of a time on it. I'm like, look, I'll make a deal with you, so we don't keep kicking this can down the road. $14,750. You get a win. You're under policy limits.
Smart.
I tell my client, look, I'm taking it off of my fee. Don't worry about it. You're going to walk out with just as much as if we took the 15, but now you're going to get it a month earlier than you were supposed to, because I don't have to go back with another offer and a counter and another layer. It's just being smart about it and understanding the receiver of the information, what they need.
That is so smart. And that's such a good point, because I think, and ironically, your Get Rude slogan, I think a lot of, what's that?
Not be rude, get rude.
Exactly. Get rude. But what I was getting at is you have a finesse with people and you apply that to the way you manage these cases. And a lot of people think that they need to have the meanest lawyer. And I love what you just said, because it's not about being mean for the sake of being mean or being rude or being aggressive. It's about being smart and looking and taking your ego out of it, is how I'm going to put it in those words. What you described to me is an attorney that doesn't have an ego, an attorney that does what needs to be done to do what's best for the client in the best possible scenario and timeline. And you're being strategic and understanding your opponent's pressure points versus just this, which gets us nowhere.
Well, we talked offline about marketing and theory and what you're willing to do to market yourself, and the point about ego. If you are always worried about yourself in whatever you're doing, how can you be in this industry? This is a service industry. It's a professional service. So if you're worried about yourself, how can you do this? And of course, it can be very lucrative. There's no doubt about it. But I tell my clients, I don't want to make a buck on your back. The way my business operates is that's how I get paid, but I don't want to make it on your back, right? I want to do it collectively, meaning we succeeded together. So I made good money because I made you, I got you the compensation that you were entitled to, given the scenario. And I hope that at the end of the day, nobody likes to see the line item that says attorney's fees, because they're like, oh, the lawyer made a lot of money. But I hope, and I've had, the big successes, especially those clients are like, I never could have gotten this without you.
That's it right there.
That's it. But I say to people, I say to my team, this isn't a passion project. I don't do Instagram videos, and I don't, it's not because I want to see my name in lights. I don't care. I've never cared. I got into this particular business because my old firm kind of gave me an offer I had to refuse. And so that's how I am here. But I didn't care about my name on the door. I didn't care about being a partner at different firms, even though I was. It wasn't about that.
Yeah.
But you play the hand that you're dealt, just like my clients, and you got to roll with it. Put one foot in front of the other and just figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, at the beginning of this interview, your description of your journey was, I felt better about helping people this way. And it's almost like your law firm, your journey, your career, that as you've described it, has been about how you can best benefit others. And I think that's very commendable, because there are law firms run by attorneys where that's not the agenda, where they want to be up on the billboard, where they want to, just get as many cases as possible, and they want to rake in the dough like really fast, and it's not about the quality. And as a marketer, I work with so many different law firms, some in, investing millions in marketing, and then some like barely like $500,000, right? Or less. And I see really good attorneys comparing themselves, law firm owners comparing themselves to the gimmicky, high volume, ambulance chasing, soft tissue chasing, like firms.
I like the ambulance chaser moniker. I was just telling one of my team members, I'm like, I have a shirt already made up on Canva. It's going to say ambulance chaser on the front, and I will wear it proudly.
Okay, but gimmick aside.
Sure.
The agenda, I'm talking about the agenda, right? I'm using that term to distinguish the agenda. The agenda is volume, quantity over quality. That's really what I was getting at, right? We can play with the messaging all day long. And they don't last. They don't last. Like these firms that pop up and, oh, wow, I'm going to do what they're doing because they grew so fast. They don't last. What I've observed is the firms that really last, that experience steady growth, that stays, the attorney or the law firm owners that I work with that have been in the market for 20, 30 years, more than that, legacy businesses, what they have in common is they seek actual sustainable growth by adding value. That's their priority. That was my point.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that, because I think about it in two ways, right? My business only exists on organic growth. Mm-hmm. It only came to be on word of mouth, helping someone who tells someone else, who tells someone else, and all of a sudden it snowballs. The more touch points you have, the more opportunities you have to, bring in new clients, because you've helped somebody who tells somebody else, who's got cousins and neighbors and whatever. Then there's the marketing side of it. And, we've talked a good bit about this. I feel like in marketing, if you can't have fun with it, it's going to become a chore. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing these Instagram reels, and because I feel like it's a place to let my creative side come out, different than the creativity that comes with lawyering. But I also want it to be fun, and I want people to want to watch the content, because that's part of marketing. You got to stop the scrolling long enough for them to even know that you're a lawyer. And if you can do that, then maybe that's how you get the opportunity to help them or their friend or their neighbor. Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. Lee, I can talk to you all day. I want you to talk about where people can find you if they want to refer cases to you, or if they need help with a personal injury. How can people get a hold of you? Talk to us about your handles and all that. Easy stuff. I'm trying to make
Google me.
Look, my whole mentality is low barriers of entry. So what have I done? Right? I have getrude.com. Right? So if you're tired of the insurance companies pushing you around, stop being polite, get rude. I feel like they can spell my last name wrong all the time, but it's hard to getrude.com. Right? I now own the toll-free number 833-GET-RUDE. So from your touch-tone phone or that rotary dial phone, you can find me. Our website.
Rotary? Who has that?
It's a joke. I don't even know why I need a toll-free number anymore, but I said, you know what? I can get it, so I'm going to get it. So we have the toll-free number. My local number is 504-500-5504. And for the social media addicts, my handle on Instagram, TikTok is @GetRudeLaw. And we're putting out all sorts of content all the time. That's
awesome. And what, just bullet list, what are ideal cases for you? So if somebody listening is, that's going to be my person now to refer all my cases to.
Yeah, I'm licensed in Louisiana and Texas. That is where the majority of our work is, in Louisiana, but we do some stuff in Texas. And frankly, I have stuff all around the country at this point, because we find partners if there are folks that want our help in different states.
Okay.
All over. We will find, I teach on the National Institute of Trial Advocacy faculty.
That's cool.
The local program. And so from that, I know people, and I've had cases all around the country. So I've got this vast network of folks that, when the time comes, to have to bring in a partner, I have contacts with whom we can work. So if you have a need in the personal injury space predominantly, so auto accidents, slip and falls, those are kind of our bread and butter. But if you have something, I tell people, bring it over. Let me take a look at it. The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to tell you I can't help you, but I will try to find you someone who can.
And you have such an amazing network, so you can set them, yeah. Okay.
Kick it out. Somebody should be able to help, or at minimum, like if you're local and it's something that I can't touch, but you need something that is at no cost, we've got different local universities that have clinics, and there's the bar association. There's opportunities to help people.
Okay.
And maybe it's not you doing the lawyering. It's giving them the tools so they can find the help they need.
Right. And at the end of the day, referring cases out creates a good customer experience. So even if it's outside your practice area, that person will remember that you connected them and then come to you the next time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. That guy Lee helped me find the lawyer that helped me. Hope they remember.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they don't, you planted a good seed. So
that's right.
So I have one more question for you. This is the most important question I ever ask on the show because, it's called Care Sandwich. What is your favorite sandwich?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you have a favorite.
Yeah, well, I think I can go one or two ways. I can either go with an excellent chicken parm sandwich, but my brother just moved back to Philly. I'm from New Jersey, and so I think I'm going to go with a top-notch Philly cheesesteak. And I'm now making the rounds. Like the algorithm knows that I have a contact in Philly, and he's sending me videos one direction. I'm sending them back, so I'm getting all the good ones on the list.
That's cool. Is there a good Philly place or Philly sandwich place near you in Louisiana?
So in New Orleans, there's a Jewish deli that he's from Philly, so he does a special that's pretty good. There's a couple places you can get that kind of sandwich.
Okay.
But not at the level of some of these top-notch places in Philly. And they're getting better. These places, like there's the traditional ones that are great, and now they're ratcheting up the quality of the bread. There's some like different cheeses they're bringing in the mix that just changing the game.
Like what different cheeses? Not to get off on a tangent, but
all right. There's a place in Philly called Angelo's. They do pizza and they do Philly cheesesteaks. They've got an outfit called Uncle Gus's in the Reading Terminal Market. They've got this seeded bread that's excellent that they homemade, and then the cheese is this Cooper's sharp cheddar that it's awesome.
That sounds amazing.
I
think I'm hungry. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Lee. This has been an amazing interview. Those of you that are tuning in and watching this episode, please share it anywhere in the country because we're accepting cases anywhere in the country here. So thank you for watching. Catch you on the next episode of Care Sandwich.
Thanks, Margarita.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode of Care Sandwich.